And welcome back to another episode of the Screen Addicts podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, TV Villegas.
And I am your other co-host, Cinema Steven House Sosa.
House Sosa?
I meant House of Sosa. I forgot.
Is it a small house? Or is it a
It's
big house?
It's a cottage.
Awesome. Guys, well, thank you for joining us this week again. And as for the nickname, I forgot one. I forgot to say one. I can't believe that. I usually am spot on with these things. Steven, I let you down. I'm sorry.
You're Jeremy now.
I am. Jeez. Anyway, so from Steven's nickname, as you can tell, we will be talking about the latest season of House of Dragons. And,
House of the Dragon.
Oh,
Chris,
sorry.
We went through this last week,
House
Chris.
of the Dragon.
Damn. I even said it's House of the Dragons. Don't call it that in front of whoever it may be that you were about to introduce.
House of the Dragon. We have brought on a guest, a good friend of mine. When House of the Dragons.
Holy shit,
I'm
Chris.
sorry, I keep doing it. It's going to happen a lot more.
HBO is going to sue you, man, or something.
Absolutely.
Without this, big time.
Anyway, anytime House of the Dragons is on, Game of Thrones was on, I always caught myself talking to Jody about these series in particular. So no, I couldn't think of a better guest to have on to recap season 2 of House of the Dragon than my friend Jody. Jody, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. So glad to have you on. And my introduction, I do have a name for you. This is Jody, the Queen Jody, first of her name.
Your Majesty.
Tamer of twins.
Okay.
And I'll think of something else along the way.
Rider of horses. Let's do that.
And rider of horses and fan of Jayhawks.
No, sir. How dare
I know.
dare you?
Anyway, Jody, go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners and just give them kind of a rundown of who you are and what you're doing here.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm a huge fan of both of you. I love your podcast. I like to put some headphones in and fall asleep to podcasts. So I don't know if that's creepy to you or not, but sometimes I fall asleep to your voices.
we definitely put people to sleep. That's for sure.
No. You're super entertaining, but when I need to relax, there's something about y'all's voices. But then Dateline will work for me too. I mean, it's just something to keep me from using my mind too much. But I am Jody Reynolds. I am currently living in Amarillo, Texas with my husband of 20 years. I have twin boys, as Chris said, and they are big-time golfers. They're going into welding school because they just graduated from high school. And they're going to go be welders. So they're going to do that in Missouri. And coincidentally, my family is all from Missouri, and my husband wants to do an adventure. So we're moving up there shortly. So we have this barren house, and it's super depressing. But I'm able to continue my work while we're, dealing with all this chaos because I'm a digital marketer at an agency where we all work from home, and it is fantastic, and I love it. Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, gosh darn it. Where do I begin? I guess, why am I even remotely qualified to speak alongside you guys? I started watching Game of Thrones with my husband and was like, oh my God, what is going on? And then I started realizing I have got to write some stuff down here. So I just started chronicling and writing things down and looking at the maps that people were producing and going, okay, now I'm just full on nerding out on this thing. I've just got to continually study it. Chris knows this, but I am rewatching for the third time. I just stopped at the Red Wedding. And of course, I'm adding more notes and all this stuff, and it's so good every time you watch it. Never disappoints. And then I had to put a pause button because I needed to switch back to House of the Dragon and rewatch all of those because I told myself, Jody, don't do that. Just watch it for fun. But then I went, you know what? Everybody's name is Aegon or Rhaenyra, and I can't do this. Or Rhaena, I can't do
Mm.
this. So I had to start writing it all down again.
Mhm.
And fun fact, you guys probably know this, but apparently George R. R. Martin did that on purpose because the houses back then liked to jack with each other and confuse each other and be like, haha, we have a Joffrey and you have a Joffrey, so let's make everybody crazy trying to figure out which Joffrey we're talking about. And then, of course, coincidentally, we'll talk about this, but Alicent screwed the pooch for everybody because she mistook the wrong Aegon.
Mm.
And now we're in this big mess. So,
Maybe
Yes,
she
yes,
did
we
it
are.
on purpose, though.
I know. Did she?
Mm.
Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, okay, before we go all into it and just completely dive into the second season of House of the Dragon, we're going to run through our segments like we always do, starting with the recently watched. And Jody, as our guest, you will be able to kick it off for us. So, what have you been watching?
It's been a minute because I'm so devoted right now to rewatching Game of Thrones. I'm going to do that the minute we hang up here. But before that, I was rewatching Veep because I
Oh.
just freaking love that show. It's so funny. It makes me
Mhm.
laugh, and it's honestly very on par with what's happening in the country today. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's just like laughable. So I'm finding that funny. And I don't know why it's the season of rewatching for me. I rewatched Deadwood, caught a lot of
Hmm.
things that I missed the first time, just super loved it. Also rewatched The Fall. That might be one of my favorite series of all time. So I rewatched it just for fun.
Is the Gillian Anderson series,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
yeah, yeah. It's so good, so good.
I've
And
never
then,
seen The Fall, but I'm sorry. No, I was
oh,
just saying I heard that show's tremendous.
it's fantastic. Yeah, I just love
I've
it.
never even heard of it.
Oh my gosh. And it's got that Jamie from 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, Jamie
Okay.
Dornan or
Thank
something.
you.
Jamie, yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. And what do
Also,
you
my
stream
husband
it
and I
from?
love to watch stuff together. We just recently watched the movie Knox Goes Away. So cute. So cute. It's about
Oh, Michael Keaton, right?
yes, it's about
Yeah,
dementia.
yeah.
So cute. We did the Night Sky series, and we stumbled upon the I don't think it's I think it's just Patriot. It is so good, and we were so excited to have found it, and they're not renewing it for another season, so we were just crushed.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah, a couple
Happens a
other things, but
lot more
there's
often
also,
now.
yeah,
God, you watch a lot of stuff. You definitely fit in with the Screen Addicts. Like, my
it's
God, that's impressive.
it's what we do. Like we'll watch an episode or two of something every night, and then I'm kind of a night owl now, and so I'll watch
Mhm.
something else until I fall asleep. To y'all.
Let me ask you a question about Deadwood. Did you watch the movie that they did, the revival film
I
that
did.
came out?
Yep.
What did you think of that?
I mean, it wraps a lot of the things up. It's been a
Mm.
minute since I watched that movie. I'm trying to decide, they made everybody look a lot older. And
Right.
so it kind of, I think I felt pretty satisfied by it.
Mhm.
I think the one thing that made me mad, and I'm really having to dig hard here into the cobwebs, but the big benefactor guy that was played by
Was it Al Swearingen? The
Nope.
no, Al
The
Swearingen.
big benefactor who blows into town throughout several seasons, screws everybody up and messes around, and then he blows back out of town. He, gosh dang it, he did something really horrible, and then he just gets off without being punished, and that made me
Mhm.
mad. I'm trying to
Right.
even remember. I'm sure he killed somebody.
That was kind of my issue too with the movie, was the fact that it was supposed to close all the doors left open from the series, because season 3 ends in a cliffhanger and you're kind of just hoping for some kind of resolution, and then it almost opens more doors at the end of it, and I'm thinking, well, I hope they make another movie for the movie, but I can't really remember all the details about the movie. I just remember thinking this
Yeah.
didn't really seem as conclusive as I wanted it to be, but I
I
love
know what you
Deadwood.
mean. And I'm kind of a I'm very much a glass half full person. And I figured that was all we were going to get. So I was like, okay, I can
Yeah.
handle this. Kind of like the, season finale of The House of the Dragon. I'm skipping ahead, but it's like, okay, not everybody's happy, but okay, I'll deal with this.
Yeah.
All right, man. You have a Steven-like list. Like she's
I'm
more of a screen
impressed.
addict than me, bro.
I know, Chris. Can you just take a break? I think me and Jody've got this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Y'all got this because I've got maybe two things that I have. And Jody, is that all? Are you
Oh,
done
yes,
with your?
yes.
Okay,
Pass the
cool.
buck.
Just wanted to make sure. Um, been watching the Olympics. Really, man, I've been really into the gymnastics this year.
Me too.
Suni Lee. I love Simone Biles. That girl is freaking amazing. But for some reason, my attention was towards Suni Lee this year, and after hearing her story about what she's gone through
Yep.
this past couple of years, I was like, man, that is so freaking awesome that she's even able to medal in stuff in what she's doing in her gymnastics this year. So that's super super awesome. Um, and then what other? I've been watching Snoop Dogg, man. Snoop Dogg on the Olympics is
Yeah.
like the best thing ever.
It
Like
really is.
his whole commentary on anything, like it just has you glued and laughing to the TV, just everything. And then when he rolled up in his equestrian outfit, Jody,
It was
I was
killer.
like, I
Yep.
bet I was like, oh, that's so freaking awesome. And now I want one of his Olympic pins. Have you seen those?
I did see a picture of one. Yep.
It's him like blowing smoke rings that look like the Olympic rings. Oh, it's so freaking
It's
awesome.
awesome.
He would, right?
um, any of the Olympic sports that y'all are like, I really want to watch this or have watched and really liked it.
I tell you what, I think it's called aerobic synchronized swimming or something like that, or
Hmm.
artistic swimming or something where
I
they're
think
just
it's
dancing
artistic
in the
swimming.
water.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's unreal. And when you can catch a view of the screen and then the water's here, so you can see their legs and you can see the top of them. It's
Hmm.
incredible.
Chris, if
Nice.
you were going to compete in an Olympic event, which one would you choose? You had to. You had to represent your country,
I
sir.
had to represent my country. I would choose breakdancing.
Actually, you are a good dancer. I
Dude,
will
dude,
vouch for that. Chris can move.
I not so much now, because once you reach 40, everything starts to like pop into place. Maybe I could be a good pop and lock dancer now.
Right, just stay on your feet, Chris.
Yeah.
I didn't
Uh,
know about that hidden talent, friend.
I keep that talent hidden from my professional
Oh,
life
sorry, Chris.
a little bit.
It's
But
out now. Remember me.
you
What
know,
about you, Steven? What Olympic event would you rock?
I stick to the movies like Cool Runnings. But if I was gonna choose one, I don't know. I mean, wrestled in high school and college. Not that I
Oh,
could compete at that level, but why not? That'd be fun. Give it a shot. I'll be out
hey,
in the
I
first round, but
I did see I think she's 20-year-old USA wrestler won
yeah,
gold
she
today.
won. Yeah, she won the gold today, and she's the youngest Olympic
Hmm.
gold medalist ever. So that's pretty impressive. So I guess in wrestling, I don't think that's
In wrestling.
overall. Yeah,
In
in
wrestling.
wrestling, yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty impressive.
So, yeah, I'm ready for the breakdancing. And oh my gosh, did y'all see the 100-meter dash, the men's 100-meter dash?
Man, that was good. That was
That was
a race.
insane. Like,
Yeah,
was it 4/100ths of a second? Like,
so much
separated
power.
first and
Yeah.
second? Like, oh man. So much fun. Olympics keep going on for I think another 6 days or 4 days, 5 days, somewhere
I
in there.
think so. Yeah.
So they're about to wrap up. So
Hey
Mhm.
Chris, did you and Jody, did y'all watch on Peacock Kevin Hart and Keenan Thompson do this show? It's like a recap show
yeah,
of the Olympics, and I think it's maybe daily or every other day. I don't know, but it is actually really really funny. I was
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
surprised by their commentary. Of course, it's funny, but it turns into this kind of thing where they're nitpicking, almost like a ridiculousness Tosh.0 type of programming where they're they take blunders or bloopers or whatever from the Olympics and kind of commentate on them. It's actually really, really funny. I was surprised by that, but
That sounds great. I'm sad I
yeah,
haven't caught on to that.
I don't think there's that many episodes, but
I
it's
think
on
there's like
Peacock.
3
Yeah,
or 3, maybe 4, but yeah,
yeah.
dude, they're hilarious. Like, it just needs to keep going that way. I like when the Olympic opening ceremonies happened and they had Kelly Clarkson on there. She got a lot of backlash because of the way she was commentating the thing. Like, she was commentating like a normal person would. Like, if it's a normal person would sit there for the very first time, and she was just in awe of the whole thing.
Real
And she
excited,
was,
right?
yeah, and she was just being like, not not like Mike Tirico, so professional, this and that.
Hmm.
People were slamming her because of the way she was talking, and I'm like, that's the way I would do it. Like,
Right.
if they said, "Hey, the Screen Addicts, why don't you commentate the opening ceremonies?" I don't know how much words I would actually get out, because I would just be sitting there, be like, "This is so cool," and that's
Hmm.
probably would be my dialogue for the whole thing.
I would just relate everything to movies. I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
race reminds me of Chariots of Fire, play Vangelis or something, I don't, that's where I always go to with that kind of stuff. But I mean, yeah, I mean, she's Kelly Clarkson. She's not a sports broadcaster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, bringing her in there, what did people expect her to be like? I mean, she's excited. She's fun. She's got a bubbly personality. I mean, that's why you
Yeah.
bring her in there. It's kind of livening up the event. But
I
I
don't know
don't
why
know.
people got to be such haters. It's
Yeah.
all
They gotta hate on something.
Why we gotta
Yeah.
Jeez.
be hating on Simone's hair, for Pete's sake?
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Do you know how hard she's working out there? Her hair's not going to remain perfect. Let's blow right by that one.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid.
Like, she just got done winning a gold medal.
I know. And we're going to
Hello.
pick pieces. She's precious.
Did you hear the Russian coach talking trash about her? He was like, "It's not fair. She will never. Nobody can beat her. It's not fair that she competes." And we're like, "Well, bro, like either
Do
train
better.
your squad better or just deal with the fact that she's the best. That's part of the Olympics."
It's not fair that Tom Brady played football for a long time.
Right. I mean, it's not fair that Steven Spielberg makes movies. Like, it's just, what do you expect? They're the best.
So in 4 years, do you guys plan on going to LA to watch any of the Olympics? Because I want to. That
Let's
would
do
be
it.
so cool.
It's a thought, honestly.
We'll have a live show.
But dude, honestly, it's actually closer to us than I thought, Steven, because they're gonna have the women's softball tournament in Oklahoma City
No way.
for the Olympics. So
That's awesome.
we will be close, Jody, even though you'll be in Missouri.
Well, fun fact, some of the water events will be at the Oklahoma City white water rafting.
Yeah, the river sports stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and my girlfriends and I went a couple of years ago and like literally almost died, and it was so crazy. I cannot believe they let regular human beings just walk up there with a paddle in their hand and do this crazy thing. So we were laughing all last night about how much, we're going to be watching this on TV going, yeah, they did a good job. They
We
did
could
better
do
than
that.
us.
Yeah, they were right.
No problem.
Steven, that would, in 4 years, that's where we'll have the draft during the Olympics.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be fun. Okay, enough about Olympics. Big Brother, I've been watching still. Man, okay. I have to talk about this one lady that's on Big Brother this year. She is the oldest lady on this season's cast. She's batshit crazy, man. She is going through this house just causing the most drama I've ever seen in a Big Brother season. Like, so much calling out some young guys, calling them names, throwing fits, and just being just this loud, obnoxious lady. And they still keep her. Like, they're voting out other people, which, is like almost like Survivor, and I think we talked about it last week. Is like,
yeah.
like we keep her because I know I can beat her in a final.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But there's that. Oh, me and Tasha did watch Priscilla last night on HBO.
Oh, what do you
Okay.
think?
That is the slowest movie ever. Like, I'm sure Priscilla Presley has a lot more going on in her life than what was depicted in that movie, but that movie drug out so much. And the only like climax point of that movie is the last 5 minutes, maybe, when Elvis starts kind of to lose his shit on her, and that's where the story really lies, is how he treated her and what he did to her
Hmm.
and stuff like that. And but everything else leading up to that point was just so slow. Her going to Catholic school was a highlight of this movie.
Oh, okay. Well,
So it was okay acted, but just as far as the pace and the storytelling, it was just so slow. Um,
that's disappointing.
Chris, I
yep.
told you to stay away from the independent art house flicks. That's a Sofia Coppola movie, man. That's what she does.
I can't. No.
I thought it
She
was
needs
good.
to do better. Of course you did.
I thought it was good. I
But
liked it better
okay.
than Elvis, to be honest with
Oh
you.
no, hell no, man! Don't play.
That might be fighting words.
Don't play.
Actually, I don't think I did. Elvis is a lot more. I mean, it's about Elvis. Like, this one's definitely about a different perspective, but
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
of course you did.
Of course you did.
Whatever. We can never agree with me, Steven, ever.
I try. I said that. Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh
Mhm.
my gosh.
And let's see, House of the Dragon, of course. Gotta put that. Latest couple of episodes of Expedition Unknown.
Mm.
My boy Josh Gates. This season's kind of hit or miss, though. There's some expeditions he's gone on that haven't been quite as interesting lately. So, still plugging away at that. And, oh, Steven, I finally started the last season, the most recent season of Cobra Kai.
Oh, okay. Me too.
And,
Bless you.
Thank you.
man,
Oh,
So, what do you think?
it's good so far.
I liked it.
It's really good so far.
Wait, did you say you started it, or did you finish?
Just started this first one. I'm
Oh,
like
okay.
2-3 episodes in.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, there's only 5 in this
Yeah.
first part. So,
But it's so good so far. So we will recap soon once I'm done. But that is it for me, Stephen. What do you have?
I didn't have too many things. I've been rewatching a lot of shows. I can't believe we didn't talk about The Boys and
Oh.
the entire season last week, because I finished it last week. I have no idea why I didn't bring it up. The show, so good. The finale, I thought was, it didn't really do anything too crazy. There wasn't too much of a reveal or conclusion of events, because it's basically setting up for the final season, and I can't wait. The final season, which is the next season, that's it. It's done. So that was really good. I think the shows consistently held up. But I also watched, oh, you know what I've been watching, Chris? The
Mhm.
Untold series. Speaking of like sports documentaries and stuff, the
Oh, yeah.
Untold series, I watched the Florida Swamp Kings, about the Florida Gators and the team, like
Tim
Tebow and
Tebow and
Urban
Aaron
Meyer, and
Hernandez.
yeah, oh man, that
Yeah.
was actually really good, and I
Mhm.
was impressed by that. So I started watching a lot of the Untold stuff, like the And One. You remember the basketball shoe
Oh,
And
I've
One?
watched that one. It's
That was
pretty
actually
good.
really good too, like the rise and fall of And One. I was
Mhm.
taken aback by that. That was pretty impressive. Of course, I finished House of the Dragon too. I planned on it. I wasn't like, oh, I gotta finish it to prep for the podcast or anything. I had been slacking a little bit, and I'll probably tell you why a little later. But other than that, I didn't watch too many things. I didn't get to go to the theater this past week. It's been kind of
What?
busy. I know. That Regal
What?
Unlimited Pass really took a hit this week. But
They got the money out of you this week.
yeah, almost. I'll make up for it next week. I'll watch like 3 things. But other than that, I think that oh, this The Sixth Sense. It's the 25th anniversary today. So I might watch that. Yeah, 25th anniversary of The Sixth Sense.
Man.
It's
Yeah.
unfathomable.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of M. Night Shyamalan, that's what I was going to go see was Trap, his new movie with Josh Hartnett, who I'm happy to say is making a resurgence in his career because I
He
love
is.
Josh Hartnett. And
Me too.
so I think that I don't know, but I didn't hear too many good things about it.
That's what I was about to say. I've heard it's not that great.
Right. So, I mean, I'll still go see it. I don't let, other
Yeah.
opinions sway me from it, but I'll go watch it and see how it is. But yeah, Sixth Sense, 25th anniversary today. That's pretty crazy.
Man,
And we
you're
did our
old.
episode. Yeah. And we did that episode about 1994. And I was starting to think that we could have done one about 1999 and the 25th anniversary because, man, there's a lot of things that came out 25 years ago. And it's kind of baffling when you think about it. But yeah, I'll probably be watching that when we're done. So, but that's it for me, Chris.
Cool. Well, I think tonight we're actually going to forego headlines because we have so much to talk about in the House of the Dragon. There you go. Aren't you happy?
See, if we bullied you into it, you'd say it right. You know what? I kind of miss how it used to be called. I think I'm going to go back to House of Dragons.
Oh no.
Don't do it. Anyway, so we're going to be recapping season 2 of House of the Dragon. That is why Jody is here. So she is ready. She has her notes. We have our brains because I don't take notes. Steven
We're
does.
screwed. Jody's going to shine.
I don't know, guys.
Okay, so starting off, we'll work our way from the beginning to the end. What is 2 years? We had to wait 2 years from the finale of season 1 to now, right?
Wow.
And we were all like, I don't know about y'all, but me, the end of season 1, again, it was like, okay, it was a lot of buildup, and then some stuff actually happens.
Mhm.
And you're like, all right, it's going to get good. And all right, season 2, I can't wait till season 2 gets here because, shit's going down.
Mm-hmm.
You get the death of a dragon at the end of season 1, and Vhagar just mutilates this dragon in midair, and it's crazy. And you're like, okay, season 2, here we go. You better kick us off right. And it doesn't start off horrible. To me, okay, I get it. You more than likely have to build a little bit to get back to where we're at. I give you 1 or 2 episodes. Storytelling, all right. That stuff happened. There's things that happen. Cool. But what are y'all's thoughts on, say, like the first 2 episodes?
I read something just the other day that the writers and producers were not sure where they were heading. So this season was kind of a stall and kill time a little bit, like stretch. Somebody mentioned that this could have been a 4-episode season, and it probably could have. We could have really tightened things up, but yeah, gives me something to do on Sunday nights.
Stalled and stretched. That is putting it so accurately. I'm glad that they fessed up to that. But Chris, I mean, the end of season 1, like you were saying, like not only they kill a dragon, but they killed Luke, which is the daughter of Rhaenyra, and that what is essentially what catapults these things into a full blown. Well, you don't know war at the time. You just see that lasting image of Rhaenyra turning around, and she just looks, wrathful, just full of just unbridled vengeance because the loss of her son. Not only the loss of her son, but he was killed. He was murdered. And Vhagar, you can't just take these monsters out there and think, oh, they're my little puppy dogs. I can control them with a leash.
Listen.
They're gonna kill something and somebody, and it did. And I agree with everything you said, Chris. Like the first 2 episodes, you have to recalibrate. You have to reset your pieces to where we're going to be going from here on out. And for me, without getting into spoiler I guess this is like spoiler. We're good
Yeah,
with spoilers, right?
we're
Okay.
good. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll put a spoiler warning in our description because some people may not have seen it. I don't know. I think the shows like House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, it has that immediate watch factor because of
Oh,
situations
absolutely.
where they want to prevent seeing spoilers, and
Exactly.
anybody online will, circumvent that by just watching it immediately. And I think that the end of season 1 was a great build up to what inevitably never happened in season 2. It basically I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was pissed off throughout the majority of this season. I was so just not frustrated because my problem was that I can't compare this to Game of Thrones because it is not Game of Thrones. It
Mm-mm.
inhabits the same world, but as far as like a storytelling device, the way that things are laid out, characters, it's not. It's just I have to keep that separate from my mind because to compare it to Game of Thrones is just you can't do that. That's not fair to this show. So I had an open mind about this particular series, and so season 2, I'm just finding myself with the exception of what was it, episode 4 where
Mhm.
Rainey she
Yeah.
died. Like that whole battle was like,
Mhm.
okay, now we're all systems
Yeah.
go. Like from here on out, there's only 8 episodes. Man, these next 4 are gonna just be action packed,
Nope.
and they weren't. They weren't. And before we were recording, Chris, you made a great point to say that, like a quick note about how we thought that people were going to be that they were going to love this season. Like they were just going to be so happy with
Mhm.
how things laid out. But it almost seems like universal acclaim or universal distaste for it. And I'm glad to hear that because I was like, okay, maybe I was just being a snob or something because I was just vilifying that show. Sonia, my wife, she doesn't watch it. She loves Game of Thrones, but she hasn't really put in the time to watch House of the Dragon. And I was just going off on how bad the show was, and she's thinking like, well, I'm kind of glad I didn't watch it now, but I mean, those were my initial points on the show. So, I mean, Jody, if you want to take over and tell us what your initial thoughts were on this particular season, that way I can
Again,
read.
I'm extremely easy to please. It's hard for me to hate something when I'm so invested in it.
Hmm.
I agree with that it really could have been 4 episodes. But I love seeing the dragons. There wasn't a lot of action to your point. I think season 1 was a lot stronger, but I'm just gonna roll with it and take my notes
You know,
and
it,
hope
it
that I can remember everything for season 3.
well, it's interesting to note too that yeah, you say 4 episodes would have done better, and I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I thought, oh, there's only 8 this season because it wasn't there was only 8 in the
I
first
think
season.
there were maybe 10.
10. Okay, yeah. So okay, it's shortened down this season. I thought, oh, it's a little bit more compact. So that
Hmm.
way we're gonna have a lot more um action or adventure or something,
Mhm.
in that compacted time
A
frame.
lot
And
more driving force than what it
right,
was. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And it wasn't. And I thought, man, they could have, yeah, that's a great point. 4 episodes probably would have been amazing in this regard. You take out the best parts of all of these episodes because there's a sense
Hmm.
of repetition with some of these episodes. Like
Yeah.
Hmm.
Damon, played by Matt Smith, him sitting at Harrenhal for
For
eight
30
hours.
years.
He's there for 80 years, Chris. And I'm like, dude, do something. What is going on here? What is taking so long? And Sir Crispy, I don't know what his name, I can't remember, but I was just like, this is crazy. Why are they not doing anything with this character? Matt
No,
Smith, you've
they
got a
wasted.
former doctor here. Like, do something with him. And I was like, that's the easiest paycheck he's ever gonna get because of
Oh
that.
yeah.
But I don't know. And I agree with like season 1 too. Like I loved the internal dynamic between Alicent and Rhaenyra. Like that was pretty much the bridge, the backbone to that season. And then you took that apart by separating them in their two, in their two uh, areas like Westeros and stuff. And I was just that was gravely missed. And I think some of the high points of this particular season were when they were
When
joined
they
together.
sneak out and they
Right.
Yes.
go visit each other.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, this is good. I like this,"
Mhm.
and then it kind of just fell to the wayside, and I don't know, like, I liked Alicent with, Well, I did like Sir Christian Cole before
Me too.
he became Hand of the King. Like once that happens, then that's it. It's just like power hungry, and I was bummed out by that. I was like, oh man, maybe finally like one person could almost have that Jon Snow esque quality towards him, this bit of humanity where he can see the good in things and not want to pursue war or the throne. And no, that didn't happen, which was kind of a bummer. But you never know. He seems like he was remorseful in a lot of those battles and some of the decisions the kings were making. But
He's interesting to me, and I thought he was going to be kind of the one good guy. You know, in Game of
mhm,
Thrones, there was Brienne of Tarth. She was just so incredibly good, such a
mhm,
good human. Most of the Starks were just good humans, and I thought, well, where in the hell is the good human on House of the
right.
Dragon? I need that person, and I thought it was going to be Kristen, and then he just goes all nutso. But you got to think about where his mind is at. He thinks he's living on borrowed time
Mhm.
because he almost died twice, right? And Alicent saved him both times. And he's just like, screw it. I'm just gonna be a jerk and whatever. And I don't know. I just think he's really in a terrible headspace.
I oh, what were you gonna say, Chris?
Oh, I was gonna say, about midway through this season, a lot of people that I know watch the show have really vilified Christian Cole,
Mhm.
and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, I was on the same thought process as Jody. I was like, I thought he was good, like for the first season, like there was a lot of good qualities to
Hmm.
his character, and then this is what women will do to you. See, this is what women do, guys. If you take anything out of season 2, House of the Dragon, women can make men go crazy.
Spoken like a true knight, Chris.
Right?
Spoken like a true knight that has been married for almost 20 years.
Oh,
Sir Chris Viegas.
No, but it's he's reached his breaking point, which
yeah.
his breaking point, man, I feel like he could have taken a lot more. Like he's gotten some good perks this season.
Yes,
Oh
Like
sir.
yeah, he
he
has.
he's
And
still sleeping with Allison.
yeah,
He just got handed the hand
Mm-hmm.
are you still
badge,
talking
and
about
I'm
Allison? Oh, sorry. Sorry.
and like it's like, dude, like if you just roll with the punches, and I guess to a certain degree he is, and just the people that are surrounding him are these evil people, he's like, well, I guess I just got to be like them now. When in Westeros, be Westeros, I guess,
Yeah.
huh?
Well,
Well,
the. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jody.
I'm sorry. One of the scenes that I thought almost could have been completely omitted Sunday night was Kristen Cole and Gwaine, which that name makes me laugh so much. Gwaine sitting on that dang log talking forever.
Oh,
The only thing we really needed him to say was, "I wouldn't it be nice to die? Wouldn't that just be easier if we just died?"
mm-hmm.
That's his mindset.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
speed it up, boys. Get off the log and go do something else.
Right. Well,
Go chop some wood.
I was gonna say the pivotal moment of the scene. I mean, this is also before. Well, this is when King Aegon has taken the throne, and of course, based on Millicent's quote unquote accidental hearing of the previous king saying like he wants Aegon. Well, she misinterpreted who Aegon was and said it was
Wrong
her
one,
son.
dude.
Big time. And so as Aegon is king, Otto Hightower is the hand at the point. So he's still Otto Hightower at least has a certain principle. I mean, there is always an underlining bit of intention to do something dastardly. I don't think that any of these people are very noble in that sense,
Mhm.
but at least he had the public awareness of how to treat citizens and hanging up so-called betrayers in front of everybody is like, what are you doing? Like, that's wrong. And then basically by removing him as hand and naming Sir Kristen just because he agreed with him, like right off the bat, that's already that's a hell of a qualification just because he agrees with everything I say. But then that's the point. Some of these leaders want to have yes men or women surrounded them and just to basically do by their bidding. I don't want your advice. I just want you to do what I say. So that's kind of what is perfect for Kristen Cole's role in that. But I think when Aegon is attacked by Aemond, man, these damn names, George R. R. Martin, that bastard. But yeah, whenever he's attacked by him, that scene again, episode 4 is the climax, the peak of this particular season. And I didn't think it would be, which is kind of sad. I thought this was like the starting point to some more crazy stuff. But whenever he goes to kill Aegon and he fails, I just think, oh my gosh, I guess he's going to take over. And he did. And King Aemon. And I thought, okay, well, maybe he'll have a certain sense because he makes a comment. He's like, for God's sake, take those people down like that were hanging. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we're going to have a little bit more intelligence as king here. No, it becomes the same issue. And I think that's something to be said about all the characters. I think what this show really needs is a lot more humor. And that's something that Game of Thrones does so well. And it's not like goofy slapstick stuff, but it's just really funny comedy. Even if it's something that, Tyrion says, or the way that the men react to Brienne of Tarth, and oh my gosh, what is the little crow? What is Jon Snow's buddy? The
Samwell?
No, the redheaded,
The redhead
giant. Oh my.
Egret. No.
No, that's another redheaded, the ugly one, not the pretty one. Tormund. And when Tormund is just obsessing over Brienne of Tarth, it's hilarious. It's so funny, but it's also genuine. You honestly think, man, this guy is just crushing on this girl. And I love that. I love the humor in Game of Thrones. It's so subtle, but it's not. It's still pretty overt. And Bronn, when anything that Bronn does or says is always kind of comical. And I was thinking about that, and I said, there's not a single person in House of the Dragon that has any sense of humor. None.
No.
And I was just
you get that one. I forget his name. He claims the dragon at the end.
Oh,
yeah. He literally says that. A little bit of humor would do you all some good.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because I was like, man, he even calls him out. And at first I thought they were saying Alf until I turned on the subtitles, and I was like, yeah, all right. And then it's Ulf, and I'm like, what the hell? That's boring. Okay, I've got to mention something that I'm going to skip straight to the finale, because this is kind of where a lot of my issues stem from, because I think through the progression of a show, you can have some mediocre and somewhat slower episodes, and it's supposed to build to a climax, a huge season finale. And this one, okay, for starters, when a mud wrestling match is the high point of your episode, you're in deep shit. Yeah, I was like, so what's going on here? I know he's trying to unite the triarchy. They're trying to bridge the gap, literally, to make way for the pathways for the armies and stuff. And I'm just thinking, okay, and what is going, a mud wrestling match
with shirts on?
Right. I'm like,
if you're gonna have a mud wrestling match, at least take your shirts off.
Like, you're wearing the mud flaps or something. But I was just so taken aback by that. I'm like, this is some shit that should happen in episode 3 at the 20-minute mark, not in your finale. And I thought that the new character that they introduced, I thought she was, again, she had some humor to herself. She's a little bit more lighter, a little bit more personality. I think maybe that's another thing I'm looking for, is just a bit more personality in some of these characters. And because everybody's so sullen, so sad. And but yeah, that mud wrestling thing.
Well, they're about to go to war and die, Steven. You would be happy.
When in Game of Thrones were they not at war with one another, politically or socially or any of that?
They were to the point that they just didn't give a fuck.
Well, that's what I want. I don't want them to give a shit here either. But I don't know. I just thought the mud wrestling thing was just so crazy. And then what was Aegon going on about? Like, he's talking about his sausage being burned.
Dude.
I'm like, what the hell? Dude,
that was funny, see?
I mean, I was more like, ew, than laughing at that. And he's not even listening to anything that Loris, I call him middle finger because that's basically like just somebody like a little finger
It's
on
just
Timu or something. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And I thought that was an interesting scene, but I don't know. I just nothing transpired, and I felt robbed as a viewer because we waited the 2 years, and that seems to be what's been going on. Because Jody, I don't know how you feel about the final season of Game of Thrones, but I was thoroughly disappointed. I think a lot of people were, and to me, it felt like Benioff and Weiss were just doing their cash grab with Netflix. And at the time, it was Disney with the Star Wars products the projects that they were working on. But to fast track that final season, just to move on to your next thing. I don't know. I felt like it was pretty robbed. And I'm like, you've got a fan base here that are already, we already felt betrayed. And then here you go and do this again, basically giving us a finale that's supposed to lead to the next one. And I said, oh wow, yeah, it's supposed to lead to this massive war. These people are putting their gear on and stuff. And then I'm like, watch, it's gonna open up with Damon and Harrenhal crying about something for 2 episodes. I don't know. I
it
just
better not.
and oh,
It
and another thing, the dragon. Like I thought it was interesting how Rhaenyra was thinking that commoners could summon the dragon or to link with the dragons,
Yeah.
and I thought that was interesting until they picked the ones that they linked with. I'm like, these are the most blah people I've ever seen. Like no personality, no character. What's his name? Uh, uh,
Hammer,
Whole
Hammer.
Hammer, yeah, or Hugh
You.
Okay.
Hammer. Hugh Hammer has the one, and
Mhm.
I'm thinking, okay, it made sense why they were showing him randomly throughout the whole season because he was the one with the baby, the little girl that was sick, and his
Yeah.
wife, and they were like, we need to get food. I'm like, why are they showing these people like so much? I guess they were just trying to show commoners, but
Mhm.
then to reveal him as one of the dragon riders, I thought, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. And then the Ulf dude, Alf. I'm just gonna call him Alf because I love Alf, and that'll make me feel better about everything. But I did like how it really showed him as a bit of a coward. And even when he was with his friends in the bar before they said Queen Rhaenyra is asking for commoners to go see if they can meet up with the dragon, I did like how he was really quiet, just kind of almost nebbish to a sense. And then now that he has that dragon, oh my gosh, it just flips. And that's the worst case that you can happen for somebody that has a
Oh yeah.
dragon. Like
Like
the
when they were telling him to go, he was like, "Oh shit, my lies are catching up to me. What the hell am I gonna do now?"
right,
And it was almost to the point to where like, dude, you better go, or like your friends ain't gonna be friends no
right.
more.
Well, even
And
the disrespect that he was showing Queen Rhaenyra at the dinner table alone, I was like,
mhm.
dude,
Oh,
yeah. Well, Jace, he sees right through him immediately, and I'm like, dude, you're right because how are you going to talk to the queen like that? She was like, you are of knights, of noble knight, and she's like, well, you better knight us then. I'm like, dude, like what?
I
Oh my
know, but
gosh, it's
she's in a mess. She has to let him behave like an idiot because nobody else can ride that dragon. It's a pickle.
that is true, that is true,
No.
but I don't know. So I mean, if Chris, if you have any other thoughts, Jody, I mean, I think I made some notes about the things that
I don't know.
bothered me.
Let me highlights. Okay, I know we've been dogging on it. There had to be something that you guys like. Jody,
Oh
what
yeah.
were some of your highlights
Again, glass
this
half
season?
full. I got lots of things I liked. I liked that we're getting deeper into Corliss's relationship with his
Mm,
bastard sons.
yeah,
We're starting to feel sorry for all three of them because Corliss now realizes he was a total deadbeat dad. And the other two are really quiet and reserved. Well, it's because they've been embarrassed their whole lives. They've been watching their dad saunter around the city and buying all these expensive things while they're living hungry. So I've developed this sympathy for all three of them, and I think they'll probably kill several of them off, and it's going to hurt worse, right, for us the viewers because we've developed this relationship. And I'm just fangirling super hard over Helena. Oh my gosh. In the beginning of the show, I thought, geez, this girl is just so weird. She has no emotions. What is going on? Her baby just died, and she's like, nah. Well, and then you find out, oh my goodness, she's a dreamer. She totally knew that was going to happen. That's why she's not that upset. She just doesn't know when things are going to happen, but she can see all these things. And I think she's working with Alice to teleport messages, and that part is super cool to me. And I think that'll develop somewhere. You know, but I think my favorite part was Damon touching the Godswood tree and doing the download,
Hmm.
getting an internet download of so much cool Game of Thrones flashback stuff. And one of my notes was that we get confirmation that Brendan Rivers is the three-eyed raven because that was kind of a is he or isn't he? In Game of Thrones, we all didn't really for sure know, but I feel like that was confirmation that he's the three-eyed raven. What do you guys think? I'm crazy or?
No, that's a great note. I was actually
Yeah.
about to say that's really
Yeah.
good. I can see that.
Okay. I do have a question though that I don't think has ever been answered. Darren Hightower, he is another son of Alicent's. I don't think we've ever seen him, and from what I understand, he's not even been cast.
Mm.
But why is he where is he? I forget what town he's in, but he doesn't live with them. What's the deal there? What
Who
does
was the
anybody know?
father? Well, who was the father? Do you know
I
who the
think it's Viserys. I
really?
think he's
Okay.
a full, whatever. Uh,
Targaryen, I guess. Yeah. Or no,
right.
what well, I don't know. I mean, I think that maybe they're saving him for further seasons. Maybe he wants to come in and because he doesn't have any claim to the throne regardless
No,
because he's already
he's obviously younger, right? So
Mhm,
Aegon, Aemond, maybe, and then this guy,
mhm.
Darren, maybe. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But he has a dragon, and smarter people than me say that they saw him riding a horse. I don't think we saw his dragon, but he was in a group. I wish I could remember what town he has been living in. So somebody said they saw him. So he is probably going to show up in the next season, but I just don't understand. Why did they send this one kid off? Was he behaving badly? I mean, have you met your brothers?
Right.
Um,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I just need to read the books. Maybe they talk about him.
Maybe he's an imp and he's the short one. Oh wait, no, that's wrong house. My bad.
You know,
Peter Dinkle, Peter Dinkle, da da da.
I was gonna say that I'm not. I haven't read the books either, and I'm sure there's a lot more information, as there always
Mhm.
is in the original text. But I of course speak from just a viewer of the show, and people will say that like, oh well, you've got to. I'm like, no, I mean, then I'll read the book. Like the adaptation should show or give enough information to make understanding of things, and yeah, that is a really good question. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I see why
I
Jody
just
came on now. This is good stuff, Chris.
I
I'm
just really
telling
do.
you.
And by the way, speaking of the books, I was reading the books when the first season of Game of Thrones came out, and I went, I can't do this. This is way too different. They had characters in one that didn't weren't in the other, and vice versa. And so I just decided I'm just going to focus on the shows and not mess with the books until maybe later down the line.
Probably a good line. Oh, and he didn't even finish it either. Like he still has one more book
Right.
that he wants
Yeah.
to write, and which is kind of why the producers had to go off and make their own original, content based off of nothing, which was
That's,
probably part of the problem that happened.
I
But
agree. I
I mean,
agree.
it's like you waited so long to watch it. Like, well, I guess they'd still be waiting to finish it if he hadn't, because he still hasn't had any desire to finish the book. Which I definitely will read that one because I want to see a more
Me too.
uplifting, better ending. But um, I have some positives of this season, Chris, and
Okay.
being the having the film eye, and I think that a lot of scenes in this particular season were so gorgeously shot. I thought the sets, the all the practical stuff looked gorgeous, and I love the shooting locations, and I love like they're using old castles, and it just looks so much better just on location. And the way that they incorporate just the fake dragons, like if you see the behind the scenes stuff, it's just so impressive how they're able to do all that stuff. But I'm talking about like little simple shots. Like for example, when Alicent has resigned herself from everything that's been going on in her entire life, and she
Mhm.
goes to the woods and the scene where she's just like floating in the water, and there's like a distant of that. Like it just looks just so tranquil and nice. And then there was another shot where Rhaenyra shows up to Harrenhal, and there's a shot like from a distance where it shows her meeting up in the middle on the, like, I guess it's like the bridge path to the castle or whatever. I was like, God, that's a great shot. But all the technical stuff, it's still flawless. Like you won't find a show that, because nothing looks cheap. The production value on this is still, like, I will never say a bad word about it. It still looks flawless. The costumes are great. The acting is great, based on what they're given, and it's not their fault that they have to act
It's
out.
written to crap.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure even they have some frustrations, and I just think that the technical aspect of the show is still, it's top. It's top dollar. It looks fantastic. Sounds great. The dragons, that shows you why it took so long to film this season, because the dragons looked incredible. They didn't look, oh, that CGI looks kind of bad. Not for once, not a single second did I see a dragon in this particular season say it looked bad. Everything looked great.
I don't know, man. Like, tell me how Vagar can still fly with all them holes in his wings, though.
He looks like Swiss cheese. I agree.
Right? Like,
He can't be
like
aerodynamic anymore.
He's like a diesel to pure stopping power, Chris. Like you can't stop that. I mean, that is true though. I mean, it's like, would they just like flake off or something? Maybe it's in the bones or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
and to talk about, like, I want one of the scenes, like you were saying, is just so beautifully shot. The one scene that I'm just like, I paused so I could look at it a little bit more, just because it was so captivating, is when Rhaenyra met with Corlys's son on the beach, and they had both of those dragons there.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, dude! I was
Exactly
like,
what I'm talking about. Yes,
that
Chris.
was beautiful. I was like, and then you have like the dragons, and you can tell how big they are, even though they're the smaller ones.
Yep.
They're still freaking huge compared to humans. I mean, it's just that shot right there alone. I was like, damn, this is probably about 70% of why I watched this show.
Me too. It's beautiful. And the ending scenes of Rhaenyra and Alicent, where it looks like they're facing each other, even though they're in different parts of the world. And then they pan to the library, and Rhaenyra's in the little triangle at the bottom.
At the bottom.
That's so gorgeous, and it's so symbolic because it's history, thousands of years of history, and then there's the
down
future.
to her. Yeah.
Oh,
Framing.
beautiful.
Good stuff. I'm telling you, Chris. Technical prowess is on key in this show.
But it can only take you so far. Yes, it's going to take you a long way, but without a story to drive this thing, I mean, you might as well be just looking at a picture book.
Chris, I apologize, man. I thought you were going to say you were captivated by the mud wrestling match.
It was, no, I told you, because it wasn't topless, but whatever. We won't go there.
You paused at the real dirty part. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
I can't believe they showed that.
I was like, oh, okay, with oh man, I'm
in the brothel of sorts, yeah.
Right, and he just like,
yeah,
and Aemon, I can't see. I'm so flustered. I couldn't even think of his name. I'm looking at your name, Aemon, not anything else. But yeah, when he stood up, I was like, oh, well, okay. I mean, that's not ever been unknown to Game of Thrones, but I guess for a main actor, that seems to be unheard of. Because, towards the end of Game of Thrones, it was typically like the supporting or extras and stuff that would show nudity, not one of your main characters. So I was just, and for male frontal nudity, like the male frontal nudity doesn't happen hardly at all. And I was just like, well, at least kudos to him for doing that.
Do you think we'll get to see the one that was fried and looks like it busted on a spit?
I know. Ramsay Bolton time, folks.
No, like, it's either Reek or Akon's weenie from this point on, people.
I know.
But yeah, that was a pretty crazy. That when they were in the brothel, I was like, oh, well, this kind of calls back to season 1 of Game of Thrones when pretty much every episode was just so lust filled, and that was interesting. But when when did they kill the kid? When was that?
Like episode 2?
That was early on, right? Because I was like, oh
early.
man, this is. I was like, that also was something that was setting a certain precedent of craziness, where I thought, man, this is going to be a wild season if they're already doing this. But
that's what I thought too. I was like, okay, they're killing babies. We're about to go.
It's like false
it's
starts.
About to go.
It's like just a bunch of false starts, but I don't know.
There's so much that could have been done. So much that could have made this season. You could still leave it off in a cliffhanger. Absolutely, to lead into the next season, but there's so much payoff that you could have had, and hopefully,
just a little bit more on the strategy of who's going where, and I don't know, and for the love of God, show us Rhaena riding that wild dragon. Show it to us. We've been watching her starve to death through the dang forest or whatever the fields for what felt like hours
since Aemon was at
Harrenhal. Get on the dragon.
Yeah.
I also laughed at that as a horse person. I'm like, wait a minute, that dragon doesn't have a saddle on. If she shows up in season 3 with a saddle on that dragon, I'm gonna have issues, because where'd she get the saddle?
She was lugging it behind her.
No, she was not.
Do you think that there's like a dragon saddle company there in Westeros that just like replenishes these things? Because I mean, that seems like a lot of upkeep.
Those poor dragons seem to wear them 100% of the time, which is not normal. So for any other type of animal.
Maybe that's why the dragons are so pissed off. They just need to be unsaddled every once in a while.
Get this thing off of me. I mean, Dany never had a saddle, right?
Good question.
I don't think so, yeah. Towards the end she did. She had like the handles and stuff. As far as I remember.
I'll let you know when I get there, y'all. I'm like I said, I'm just finished the red wedding. I'll get there.
Oh man, the red wedding. You want to talk about shocking stuff like that?
Oh man.
I will never forget that episode.
That's middle of the season, isn't it?
It's towards the end of
season? It's the end, 3. It's the end of whatever
season 3, I think. Yeah.
I think it's 3, yeah.
See, payoffs like that.
Right.
That's what you need.
At least give us one battle. Something, like anything.
You did mud wrestling. You said it.
God.
Yeah, get Daemon out of Harrenhal. Let's go, people. Yeah. At Gummit.
Well, I think that just about does it. Any last comments, anything like that, Jody, that you have about this season?
I will say that I'm a big fan of the DoorDash by boat idea that Masseria had. I loved it. I think it's paid off in dividends, because ain't nobody else cares about the small folk, and Rhaenyra is the only one kind of throwing him a bone, literally and figuratively.
That was a good call.
Yep. And okay, the dog that everybody had so much sympathy for. that poor puppers.
The dog?
Yeah, the dog.
Yeah, he was one of the rat catcher's dogs, and he stayed with the dead body that was hanging.
Oh,
and
yes.
Oh, it was so sad.
See, Steven, you're so heartless. All you think about is wieners.
Well, now, thanks for bringing it up, but all I can think about is that brothel scene.
But another thought, I could just talk forever. I'm such a dork, but
no, keep going.
Knowing what we know about the future through Daemon's dreams and through Helena, I think it's neat that I almost called him Littlefinger. Lord Lars, I think it's neat that he's like, dude, Aemon, you need to get better quicker, because we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. And Aegon, sorry y'all. Aegon actually listens.
Martin.
I know. Aegon actually listens, and off they go, to some secret hiding place. But they have to do that in order for the story to fully unfold. Which is Daenerys takes the throne, but then loses the throne to Aegon somehow.
He should wear like a badass mask. I think that'd be cool.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio?
Well, not like the Man in the Iron Mask. I was thinking of like Edward Norton in Kingdom of Heaven or something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, or like a half plate like the Phantom of the Opera. That'd be
Okay.
sweet.
There you go.
Y'all invite me on again. I will come up with something.
Right. We'll have to
And
see
that-
in season
Now,
3.
God,
We
can you
got 2
imagine?
years. You got 2 years to wait for season 3. So
Unfreaking real.
Well, I thought they said something that they were fast tracking the production because they did make a bit of headlines when they mentioned that season 4 will be the final season of this show.
mhm.
Ryan Condal had said that 4 and we're done. So I don't know if that's because expectations aren't delivering, and this show has to cost HBO and Warner a ton of money. I think this is one of the most expensive shows aside from the Rings of Power on Prime to produce. So I think with that return, the Warner execs are probably like, people are not liking this as much as we want them to. If you can't pick it up, we might have to just call it at the end of season 4, which is apparently what they're going to be doing. So I don't know. I'm afraid that we're going to have one more season of just kind of lackluster events happening to build to a final, hopefully climactic season, but I hope that's not the case.
Well, I was telling Chris, wasn't I? The HBO isn't going to know what to do with all the yelling and screaming headed their way, if not already.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they'll surprise us. But I guess to satiate us in the meantime, they're going to be releasing the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I have not really figured out who and what that's about, but hey, I'm here for it.
We have that one, and there's a animated series
Guys,
coming
I
out
heard about that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
as well. So
Whatever happened to the Snow Show? Like, was that debunked as a rumor, or is that not happening anymore? I could have sworn that Kit Harington himself had mentioned something about, because there were ads for it. I mean, of course, you have like fan made posters and stuff like that, and somebody shares it once and that's it. Everybody will see it. But I could have sworn that they were in production for a Snow spin-off series, which I don't know why they wouldn't have done that to begin with rather than doing
Mhm.
House of the Dragon. But I don't know. I think that would be really. I still think that would be really good to see. I wouldn't mind going back to that and those characters because they're the best.
Well, I'm Googling, I'm cheating. It says HBO scrapped the series idea because they couldn't find the right story to tell.
What the hell? Ask us. We'll write the scripts.
Nobody
dang
ever
right.
asks us.
Jody, you take episodes 1 through 4. Chris, you do 5 through 7 or 8, and I'll just finish it
Mine-
off.
There you
Shining
go.
rainbows. You guys are gonna have to go with the super, gnarly stuff.
Done. I got
I'm
some
doing
gnarly
all my
shit in
filming in the brothels.
Chris has brothels. You've just got abject violence. I'll do like just people riding through sunsets on really pretty horses. We got this.
And dragons.
and what we'll do is we'll actually like interject them within each other. Like I'll go and then the way that they'll be done, it'll be 1, 2, 3, and then people will be like, man, they'll be losing their minds. The consistency of events would, I mean, come on. I think that would be great. Snow,
That's
Dude.
hilarious.
Done.
the
Oh my
word.
Buffles.
That's it. We're going to LinkedIn and we're writing the HBO execs right now. Here's our pitch.
Hear it, man. Like we've been talking about, we are devoted people, and there's a lot of us out there, and we expect greatness.
That's not too much to ask,
Not at all.
Well,
We're paying our subscription fees. Surely that'll cover it.
I mean, damn, and the ever rising subscription fees. It's like you raised our fees to pay for shows like this, and they don't even deliver. Like I think that's another thing that makes one feel a little bit betrayed too. Is just not only the time investment, but the financial one at that. It's just kind of, and I'm not saying that that's the only thing I watch on Max. I watch a bunch of stuff on there, but
Friends.
you watch Friends for the 1000th time, Chris.
Yes, absolutely. And Full House still. Ugh.
Full House is on Max?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I thought that was on Netflix.
That's what I thought.
That's just a new show.
Right. Which is why I thought the old one would be there too.
That's what I thought too. But no, all seasons of Full House, the old show, is on Max.
Huh.
Cute.
Anyway, talk about that house. The Tanner House.
House of Tanner.
House of the Tanners. Boy.
All right. Well, Jody, thank you so much for coming on, talking about House of the Dragons, Game of Thrones, all the things. Definitely would love to have you back when any of those new series come out. I
Okay.
know we'll all be watching. Then in 2 years, around this time, we'll have you back again, talking
5.
season.
No,
Yeah.
I hope so, y'all. I hope so. And Chris, I think you're my only friend I can talk Game of Thrones and House of the Dragons with. Nobody else likes it. And
Anytime.
I'm just like, I don't know why I'm friends with you people.
I was about to say, what kind of friends are they?
Right? Thank you for being that one
Mm-hmm.
friend, Chris.
Hey, I'm always here when you're ready to talk anything TV, movies. I'm here. I have to go watch Fall now because
Yes.
you
Mhm.
watch it
Fall.
and I've never heard of it. So I just leave out thes, okay? I just leave out thes. All the thes, I don't like them.
They're unnecessary, superlative, as it were.
Steven, any last thoughts before I close this out, man?
Your dictionary of terms has always impressed me, Chris.
Steven.
Just make up titles while you're at it. And that would be fun. We should have like a whole section of the show where Chris watches a show, but he's gonna rename it to more of your liking. Okay, for example, if you were gonna rename House of the Dragon, what would you call it? What would be the TV Viegas edit for that title?
Boring as shit with a little bit of dragons.
Boring ass dragons.
Boring ass dragons.
Oh man. Oh man. That's good stuff.
All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really, really appreciate it wherever you're listening to us, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Thank you for being here. And as long as you're here, if you will go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you know exactly every time we drop a new episode. And then as long as you're here still, go ahead and drop us a review. Jody, I know you know how much reviews help
Boy, do I ever.
us. So drop reviews. 5 stars would be great. That just helps us get seen a little bit more on those podcast platforms. And then off into social media world, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or X, just look up the Screen Addicts Podcast.
We're just Screen Addicts Podcast now.
Oh, crap. Yeah. Just Screen Addicts Podcast. Look for our cover art, and you will be sure to find us. And then on Facebook, if you will, go and find the private group called the Screen Addicts Fanatics, and request to be part of that group. It is a fun group. That is where we're probably most active, dropping all the trailers and news and funny memes and all the stuff like that. So we'd love for you to be one of our fanatics. If you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns about the Cinema Steven, you can always drop us an email at thescreenaddictspodcast@gmail.com. We will read any questions on there live on the show for sure. But I think that does it for tonight. Again, Jody, thank you so much. It was so much fun. Is this your first podcast?
Absolutely, it is. Yes.
Sweet.
All right. We had the pleasure of having Jody on her first podcast.
Oh.
So this one's about to go viral, Steven.
True
just
honor.
to let you know.
That would be so cool.
I have one. Oh, I'm sorry. I had one plug, Chris, before you go. Well, for starters,
Okay.
I'm looking at all of my movies, and I'm looking at the ones with the in the title and removing them to see how they sound. And some of them actually work out pretty well. But I just released a new episode of my podcast,
Yes.
Real Problems, and this one was a fun one. This one, I did it on Twister, so it's the Real Problems with Twister. Basically, I go in and I talk about some of the crazy stuff that happened on the production of that movie. This is the 96 original, the classic, the OG. And not to say I didn't like Twisters. I actually really did like Twisters, but talk about a little bit of that too. But yeah, Real Problems, now streaming on all podcasting platforms, just like the Screen Addicts podcast.
Jody, have you heard about Steven's Real Problems podcast?
No, but I am committing it to
Oh,
memory. I can't wait.
I think you will love it. He dives deep onto like stuff that happens behind the scenes and productions and like weird things that'll happen to the actors and
Okay.
stuff like that on certain movies. I think you- I think you'd really just be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that would happen."
Okay, I
So
can't wait.
it's super amazing show, and he's doing really good with it. So
You're
All
too
right.
kind, Cliff.
I just in front of people.
I know, right? You're like, dude, why did you release that crap? Take it off.
Take it off. You're ruining our name. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, that does it for tonight. So for me, good night.
Adios, amigos.